Good afternoon. My name is Gavin, and today we're going to simplify radicals. So, we're going to start by simplifying this radical here. And the first part that we're going to simplify is our 99. And the way we're going to simplify it is finding its prime factors. So, we know that 11 times 9 is 99. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to write my 11 here. However, I'm not going to write 9 because 9 is not a prime factor. But we're going to turn 9 into a prime factor by multiplying 3 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9, and 3 is a prime factor. However, we're still not done because I'm going to underline this here because when you're simplifying radicals, these turn into a pair. And because I don't have a whole lot of space, I'm going to write this over here like this. So I'm going to write 11 times 3, and I'm going to underline that 3 so that we know it's a pair and that it goes on the outside of the radical. The next part that we're going to simplify is our a to the 6th power. So I'm going to write a to the 6th. And a to the 6th power is the same thing as saying a times a times a times a times a times a. Now, again, we're going to look for our pairs. So we've got one pair here, a second pair here, and a third pair here. So the way I'm going to rewrite that is a to the 3rd. And I'm going to underline that because I know that that is 3 pairs, and that when it's a pair, it goes on the outside of the radical. So when I write this over here, I'm going to write a to the 3rd, and I'm going to underline that whole thing because that's going to go on the outside of the radical. The next part that we're going to simplify is our b cubed. So I'm going to go ahead and write b cubed here. And b cubed is the same thing as saying b times b times b. So again, we're going to look for our pairs, and in this instance, we only have one pair. So I'm going to write that over here as b times b, but I'm going to underline that b because that b is that pair, means it goes on the outside of the radical. Now the final thing that we're going to simplify is our c, which is pretty easy because c is already simplified, so I'm just going to write that over here, not with a line underneath it because they're not 2, which means it's not a pair, so it goes on the inside of the radical. So our simplified radical is going to look like this. On the outside of the radical, we're going to have our 3, and I'm going to cross it out because I used it. So I have 3, and then this also goes on the outside of the radical because it's a pair. So I have a cubed, and then this b is a pair, so it goes on the outside of the radical. So I write my b here like that, and this is all on the outside of the radical. And on the inside of the radical, I write what I have left over. So I have 11, so I'm going to start with that. And then I've got one b left over and one c. So I'm going to write 11b, c. So your answer is 3a cubed b radical 11b, c. For the second part of the video, we're going to simplify this, which is the square root of 7/3. And to start simplifying, we're going to rewrite this as the square root of 7 over the square root of 3. But we have a problem, because you can't have a radical in the denominator. So we're going to get rid of the radical by multiplying it by itself. And because I multiplied it by itself on the bottom, I have to multiply it by itself on the top. So the square root of 3 multiplied by the square root of 3 is just plain old 3. But the square root of 7 multiplied by the square root of 3 is the square root of 21. Now, in radical form, this cannot be simplified anymore. So the square root of 21 over 3 is your answer.